Our next talk will be a talk, and it is with the biggest exit with the founder of the company, which is the biggest exit in Turkey and in the whole region. The total amount of the exit was, I asked him, he said, I think it was about 586 million, but it was around that. We're talking about dollars. So he is born here in Turkey. Today, the company is born here in Turkey. Today, I'm not sure if I'll say it exactly the right way, even though I was really trying my best. Yemeksepeti operates in 57 cities with 9,000 members, restaurants, and almost 3 million users. Melih Ödemiş is the co-founder and the technology guy behind this exit of almost 600 million. So, please join me here, Melih, on the stage. That's not enough of applause for a superstar from our region, honestly. I mean, think about it. Turkey gave Central Eastern Europe, Middle East and Africa biggest exit ever in the history. By the way, previously it was kind of a Bulgarian record for $300 million. So this one is double. Melih, please choose your seat wherever you feel comfortable.
Okay.
I will join you here.
Sure.
So, pleasure having you here on site, and thanks for accepting our invitation. I've announced you as part of the company, but actually you are not anymore, right?
Yeah, I'm out.
So we have to change your title for the next event.
I have to. I'm working on that.
Yeah. Right now, you are interested in, you're doing investments.
Yes.
But obviously, we would love to hear, as part of the commerce stream, we would love to hear more about your experience into the field.
Sure.
And to start with this. And then we will move further with your thoughts on where is it heading. So, starting with the history, you've launched it 2001st, meaning 14 years of, every single step of the development of the digital commerce market in Turkey. What are the latest challenges that you see in the domain?
Latest?
Yeah.
What I can say from the Turkish market and also emerging markets is the, especially in e-commerce, what we saw around starting from 2010, 11, 12, was that not big enough markets, not big enough digital markets, but too many players. So the markets get divided into too many players at one time, and the margins are not enough. So that's why even the best teams with perfect investments, they couldn't survive. So that's, right. For example, we saw a lot of companies shutting down their operations very recently, like not very recently, but in recent, let's say, 4 or 5 years. So I mean, and that brings the question of, and at the same time, the perception of all the startups or all entrepreneurs or people in the ecosystem, they were thinking that everybody is investing in e-commerce, all the investors are interested in e-commerce only, etc., whereas that was not the fact, but that's the perception created in the ecosystem. But since the digital market was not big enough for all of them, and everybody jumped into it because there was a hype with all the Groupon clones, etc., right. Or private shopping companies, but the market is not enough, and it's not that everybody can buy fashion items every year with 70% discounts. It's not possible. So at one point in time, your wardrobe is full, and right. you don't need to buy anything anymore. So that's why I think innovation is lacking, especially in our domain, in our region. I think money is there. We have investment. Teams, we need more talented teams. I think we are still lacking talented enough teams. In Turkey, for example, especially, we lack good technical guys because they are mostly working still in enterprise. They are not brave enough to jump into startup ecosystem. We need more and more. These are the latest challenges I can tell.
So regarding the digital commerce, obviously, we were discussing that mobile is next frontier in order to be adopted. We had a couple of discussions around that and presentations. We discussed payments and the opportunity to embrace them for further expand. what do you think should happen in Turkey? Because it's a totally emerging domain now. It's growing day by day. So what do you expect how the digital commerce do you expect to be developed here in Turkey and in the region?
You mean
you also participated in acquisition of companies in the region,
yes.
so you have quite a clear view.
You mean in terms of volume?
Yes.
Or?
In terms of volume, in terms of the next frontiers, do you expect new innovation to come from that region because of the fact that it's growing that fast?
In terms of e-commerce, digital commerce, I don't think that, we need huge innovation in that domain. We need decent merchants. We need decent digital merchants, which which can be either pure digital players or also brick and mortar players or hybrid players. What we saw was, for the last 4 or 5 years, we saw many pure digital players failing, but many brick and mortars learning the digital game and playing better and better. So, and that's what I believe will happen especially in emerging markets, because we don't have powerful enough pure players like we were in our domain, but we don't have, as we don't have powerful enough players, so that's why, and since also they are producing and they know the market, they know the domain, they know their area, that's why I believe different brick and mortar companies from different domains, industries, they are going to become bigger and bigger, and they are going to take bigger and bigger market shares in digital commerce.
So what is the reason for your success? Where do you think that the root of your success came from?
I think we started very early, and we stayed in the market at the right place until the correct time happened. So we started in 2001 when there was nothing. We didn't have any broadband, we didn't have anything. And we bootstrapped for 4 or 5 years. Then 2005, we reached break-even. And the first investment that we took was around 2008. So until that time...
You had 7 years of your own...
Yeah. So by the time when we took our first investment, we were already cash flow positive. We were making money, profitable company, etc. So we had a good team, of course, but it's not enough. With a good business idea, it's not enough. We were early in the market, and we stayed as long as needed, and we really worked hard, and we really were ready there at the right time when the change happened. And what was the biggest change for us? It was the introduction of broadband, of course. Broadband into Turkey came around 2005. And by the time when it was ready, we were already taking around 2,000 orders every day, which is even today a sizable number for an e-commerce company. We were taking that number, orders per day, around 2005. So in the year 2008, we were taking 10, 15,000. 2010, it was around, I believe, 20, 25,000. Today, it's more than 120,000.
Amazing, yeah.
So, if you know that you're in the correct market, you have to stick there, wait there until you will be able to breathe, because we always use this metaphor of going underwater, and you have to be there until you see the point where you will breathe. Otherwise, the best team, with the best project, with the best investments, even if they give up early, they don't wait enough until the correct time, you don't have success. You have only stories of failure. So I believe perseverance and patience are the biggest assets or biggest weapons that we used for many years. These days, we don't expect, of course, startups to bootstrap so long. Now everything is shortened and everything runs faster. But still, we were talking about years. Now we can talk about quarters.
So from technology perspective, which one was your biggest challenge? And then furthermore, from marketing perspective and the integration of the marketing strategy into the technology, what was the biggest challenge? So personalization strategies and further.
Our biggest challenges were always that we were ahead of the market. I mean, we were the biggest e-commerce company in Turkey in terms of volume and in terms of sophistication in the business. Because online food delivery is not a typical e-commerce company, which is that you order by day one, let's say at the noon hours, and you get your items delivered by a typical courier in 2-3 days. Whereas in our case, everything was happening in half an hour. So you have to transact your order to the restaurant. We had to transact the order to the restaurant in seconds. And they had to prepare the food in minutes. And they had to bring the cooked item to the restaurant, to the customer in half an hour. And they get the payment. And at the end of the month, we collect our commission. So that's why we had always the challenge of nobody knew around us how we could progress. And we always had to look into companies like, Booking.com, or, I don't know, companies doing Amazon.com. What are they doing? How do they do best in their SEO companies? Or what kind of marketing tools can we use? For example, we had no e-commerce, we had no email engine, email service provider in Turkey when we started in Turkey. I had to work with companies from Germany, US. We started with, for example, Omniture. When they were Omniture, then Adobe bought them.
True.
And they became Adobe Marketing Cloud. So I knew the guy who started European business for Omniture. Similarly, we had no payment business, whereas, now today we have PayPal, PayU, EasyCo, everyone. So, today it's more about picking the right partners, and with the right team, you create a good business. Whereas in our case, we had to work by ourselves. We had to mostly write ourselves most of the tools, parts we needed. But still, I would say the sophistication we reached with our marketing efforts, both on the site or off the site, incoming, outgoing, inbound, outbound, whatever you can imagine, we reached very good levels of smartness, I would say, because we could segment our customers in terms of their age, area, when they order, what would they eat, because it's like, and the fact that everybody is eating 3 times a day makes our job easier and more difficult at the same time, because you can address them many times at the same day, or the same week, or the same month, but you have to send them the correct signals. You have to pull them in a right and clever way.
If you're a funeral agency, it's not polite to remind people that they're mortal and that, so, but with the food, it's easy.
Yeah.
3 days, 3 days.
It's easy, but still, you cannot apply many, for example, we searched a lot for a good recommendation engine to recommend people what they could eat. If you take out-of-the-box recommendation engines and you put it on an online food delivery site, it doesn't work, because food is nothing like, food doesn't have a gender. Yes, there are like Chinese cuisine, etc., but even in Chinese cuisine, the taste is very relative. Right. It's not, it changes from one to the other. It's not like a book. So that's why it was very difficult. That's why, for example, we worked with different recommendation engines on our own, with different freelancers. Gamification, for example. We were looking for a gamification mechanism. I think they're still working on it. They didn't launch it yet. But there are so many areas that the team is still working on, and we still have lots of way to progress.
So, if we look, because our time is running up, if you look at the whole region, where do you see the next big thing like yours? Do you see unicorns, and which areas do you see them? Because obviously you're looking now around.
I think it can come from anywhere. We describe our region like with the subject of the Congress, which is EMEA. It can come from anywhere, Eastern Europe, Turkey, Middle East maybe. But the thing is, we should stop thinking locally. We should really understand that the world is global now, and at least we have to work at least first in a regional way, and then in a global way. What we used to see in Turkey, that including us, we used to start our businesses in a very small neighborhood, then the city, then the nation or country, whatever it is. Today, we have to start really, of course, first small steps, it will be in the country, but from day one, the startups, they have to work, they have to think in a at least regional way, international way, and then global way. They have to build their teams accordingly. They have to build their business ideas, business plans accordingly, and take the investments accordingly, and know that it will be many rounds. They have to think in that way. Thinking that way, really it can come from anywhere. It can come from Turkey, it can come from Bulgaria, Romania, or anywhere. So, I really cannot say a specific industry. Retail, medicine, high-tech, Internet of Things. It can come, I believe, especially the power of mobile and social, of course, changed everything. But still, a tool is a powerful tool, or an app is a powerful app if they really change your life.
Absolutely.
And
I
believe
for better.
Yes, I believe in changing your life. Not a radical change in your life doesn't stay in the digital domain. It should affect your physical life as well. So I believe, for example, that's why Internet of Things is, for example, very hot and sexy, because it really changes your physical daily life and experiences. I invested a lot around retail, physical retail and digital retail. For example, we still, I believe, see a lack of innovation in physical retail. We are still just looking what company creates what, etc. But still, if you go into a company, into a store, you are still buying something still in the way that we were buying 50 years ago. Only maybe the payment experience has changed, but still in the restaurant you order by talking to the waiter. You are still paying maybe cash or credit card, but that's it. So, but if you think about what can happen, and there are so many startups, I know that they are working around these things, and there is no unicorn that has popped up around that domain. I think that I'm like bringing together mobile and big industries like retail, medicine, things like that. It will be something hot.
I have so many questions more to ask, but we have to stop here, Melih. Thanks a lot for joining us. Thank you for that interview.